Good afternoon. So I'm Tina-Desiree Berg. I'm here reporting up in the Moss Landing area, continued coverage of the lithium fire plant. I'm here with Sherry, who is a resident of the area. She has a small little sort of farm area where she's got turkeys. We've got hens, roosters, ducks, all kinds of things. And this is
Charlie.
This Charlie. So first of all, Sherry, I know you've got some injuries. We're going to talk about that. You've been working on a health map. We're documenting where all these injuries are coming from. We are literally, so Moss Landing is right over this way, maybe 3 miles?
It's 4.3 miles exactly.
Okay, 4.3 miles this way. So walk us through that night, how you discovered the fire was going on and how that happened.
So Charlie was whining and barking and howling, and so I came out to find out why. And as soon as I opened the door, that plastic burning smell hit me in the face.
Yeah.
So, of course, we went into putting up the animals. That way, if we had to evacuate, you know,
yeah,
we could grab our animals and go. And then I went and got on the CHP, and that's how I found out that there was a fire.
Right. Could you see the flames over here yet? Or
No,
okay.
no. The trees are too tall.
Just a ton
just
of smoke.
a ton of smoke. Yeah. I mean, you could see the black smoke coming in. It wasn't very, very pleasant.
And it smelled like plastic and metal.
To me, it smelled really, the taste was metallic. But the smell, all I smelled was burning plastic. And I'm going, oh. So, of course, we locked up everything, you know, and got on the CHP. Finally, I jumped on CAL FIRE.
Yeah.
Nothing on CAL FIRE, and I'm going, so then I got on Facebook. And it's like, okay, fire at the Moss Landing. People were saying, lock your door, close your doors,
right.
Close your windows, don't turn on the heaters. And I'm going, why didn't we get a 911?
Right. Or some sort of alert.
Or alert, it just was.
You were finding information only on Facebook, which
is. People were telling people, and it's like, okay, well, and then we hear world's largest battery factory. What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Biggest in the world. What? Here we're thinking, okay, there's a small little battery station.
Right.
We didn't have no idea
how large it was. Yeah.
And this is everybody, going, what?
Yeah.
How did they allow this? Well, when people ask questions, I'm the type, if I don't know, I will search. So I went to the California Public Utilities Commission page, and in 2019, Newsom signed an order that Monterey County didn't have to notify us. It went straight to Washington.
Yeah, they called it a
Sacramento.
Mitigated negative declaration. It's protecting it. So there was over 100,000 batteries that burnt the other night. Mm-hmm. So that is a considerable amount of toxins coming into the air. You had mentioned to me when I first talked to you that you were gathering up your animals, your ducks in the front, you've got your hens back here, your turkeys, whatnot. But tell me about the water, which you saved some when I saw this water, but tell me about the water in the duck pond.
So the next morning on the 17th, I went outside and I saw the duck pool, and it had an oily haze. And of course, I got concerned of my ducks swimming and drinking it. So I'm out there trying to turn over the pool, and it's splashing on me, my hands.
So, Joan, can we get a close-up of her hands? So for folks, I'm looking at this now. You could see not only is it red and irritated, but there's small blisters on her palms. Like you could see where it was burnt. Hi, Charlie. Charlie's coming to protect you because that's what dogs do. I mean, clearly there was a burn going on here and your feet. So the water splashed over you is toxic. I did see some of the water. It looks like almost how you have, when you have oil slick on top and there's a rainbow.
There you go. Yes. And the white
extracts
powdery
light. Yeah. So that's how the water looks. So there's clearly some toxins that are floating in the water.
So when Vistra came on and said, no, we're testing and everything's fine. And I'm going, No.
So when did people get evacuated? So you still hadn't, when was the first time you got an alert that something was a problem?
Oh, no, we never got an alert.
You never got an alert?
Never.
Okay.
So they got evacuated around 6 o'clock, according to the community meetings that have been on Facebook and people showing up to. A 1 mile radius of Vistra.
So only a 1 mile radius of the plant, even though the toxic plumes were clearly all over
Nobody
here.
else was notified. And so, you know, after a couple days of the smoke constantly coming at you, okay, now I had a 6-month-old chicken die. I have kittens that are sneezing. Now, they're very healthy animals.
Yeah.
You ever heard a chicken and a rooster sneeze?
No.
A rooster is funny as ever. I'm sorry, that gave me a good laugh, but my poor rooster's out there sneezing, and then he's trying to crow, and poor guy. It was funny. But anyway, it's like, but he, you know, the president or whoever it was that's up there is saying all this stuff, and I'm going, no. So then again on Facebook, people are complaining about issues. Now, my hands and my feet, and I'm going, and it itches and it burns.
Yeah.
And, well, a lady posted a picture of hers, and I wasn't feeling so bad anymore. It
wasn't just you.
I'm going, oh my God, you poor thing. And then more pictures. And then bloody noses. Well, I've also had some problems with bleeding, but it wasn't my nose. And I've been going to the doctor for that.
Yeah.
You know, first they thought I had cancer. So I've been tested for bladder and kidneys, and I'm going through all this testing because it's unexplained.
But now, did the doctor know about the Moss Landing?
The biggest problem with the doctors, and this is another thing that upsets me, the doctors in the hospitals, is they were never informed on an emergency basis. If something happened at that plant, what do we test for?
What are the symptoms?
How do we take care of? Well, so they say, so all these people that are going to the hospitals and doctors are going, okay, well, you know, you could have a cold or a sinus infection, or maybe the smoke's upsetting you. Same thing that we're hearing from everybody else.
Yeah.
Go home. You know, and then the biggest...
what about the clear burns on your hands? I mean, you can see, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but there's
bumps,
little blisters here.
Yeah.
And there's a popped blister there.
Yep.
So that's not...
So the thing is again, well...
That's not normal.
It catches on fire, and yeah, okay, no, I'm sorry, I don't believe you. And once you start lying to me, now you're going to have to prove it.
Right.
But the one that bothered me the most was there was a 8.5-month-old pregnant woman. And you could hear in her writing that she was crying, going, what do I do? I'm right here. Is my baby going to be okay? What do I do? And I wrote her and I said, honey, I said, if you're that concerned, go to the hospital.
Yeah.
You know, have them check your baby. Now, that ain't my job. Or the other 300 people, you know, well, 3,000 people now, you know, they should have been saying, okay, look, Vistra, the county, you know, should have been saying, hey, this is what you need to do.
Right.
And nobody was getting any guidance.
No, it seems like this is unprecedented in the sense that they don't, you know, when we were at the community meeting last night, one of the takeaways I had was that there simply wasn't a safety plan in place. Nope. Or enough adequate information given to either the county or the fire department on how to deal with if the possibility of this happening. Mm-hmm. And I think the bigger problem here is the writing was on the wall, right? So you already had several instances where you had, you know, smoldering batteries, fire breaking out. This was like, what, the fourth time?
Fourth time.
So if this had been the first time, that would make sense. But clearly there had been a buildup to where we got to this place. And in that period of time when the buildup was happening, no safety precautions were put in place.
So, and why is it that Newsom, Panetta, Laird are not talking with church and the fire departments and giving them guidance? They approved it.
Yeah, so that is the other thing I was interested with. The fire chief was talking about how, you know, this was an older building. It's under the building code from this year, and that's what they have to comply with. But I think that's a separate issue from safety regulation, right? So of course, a building code that's different in 1950s versus the 1990s versus 2025. We understand that, right? But that's not the same thing as regulating or having safety precautions in place for an industry. And I understand it's a new industry, and they're saying, like, well, we didn't think. But, I mean, you can't tell me that Vistra didn't understand some of the problems or potential safety issues, right?
So the building's 75 years old. There's 2 buildings that have stackable batteries. In 2019, before the batteries went into that building, the California Utilities Commission said, hey, we're concerned. It's all there on their page. Yeah. We're concerned what happens if there's a fire. Right. We need this plan. We need, you know, they were given time to come up with other solutions.
Right.
They didn't do nothing.
Right.
That was in 2019.
Right.
And so we're getting the same thing from them now.
Right.
You know, so yeah.
One of the things Church said last night, and I think this is a valid point, this is a problem. If your only response to an emergency is let it burn, there's a problem. That's not a response. Just saying let's let all the batteries burn isn't a response. And you heard that from both the fire chief and from Church. And I think there was one gentleman in the audience last night that asked a question about perhaps having sand that you could, because obviously water's not a solution because lithium reacts to the water, which makes it sort of worse. You can't use water to put it out. So, I mean, what about an idea of having sand? And if that is something that could be utilized, why wasn't Vistra required to have that at the site facility in case of something going south?
And another thing,
you know
in Ohio, which I'm not sure if he's intertwined with that. I haven't been able to figure that yet. Yes.
Okay.
They used alcohol foam.
Right.
So, okay.
Would that work with lithium? Interesting question.
It's a lithium battery. So did it work? Well, we didn't hear that it burned for days on end.
That's true.
You know, so I don't understand.
Right. No, there was clearly no safety protocol put in place that was there to follow. The fire department showed up and was basically, there's nothing we can do here, let it burn. This is crazy, right? So that's where we are. I want to turn now to, you were sharing with me, you have these papers here. Yes. So Sherry's been working on what she's calling a health map. So she's been talking to individuals in the community that have been feeling sick, having various symptoms, and you've been cataloging them and putting them on a map so we can sort of tell where these incidents are happening. It seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, from talking to you, it seems to me that the plume, okay, so here is,
that's starting.
I don't know, John, can we zoom in on that a little bit? But that's the start of it, or I'll hand this to you. The map, this is the health map that Sherry has been working on. So the plume of smoke that was blowing around that first went sort of down to Monterey, then came back up this way. This is, you know, being pushed whichever way the wind is pushing it. That is sort of where you can track where the symptoms and illnesses are occurring.
So that's the thing is now people have been putting up smoke maps. And of course I've been screenshotting them. I've been putting up or screenshotting all the weather, if it was going south, southwest, you know, whatever way. So all of that's going to go on here. And the thing is part of me is like, well, it's only a few people. That's how, you know, it makes you feel.
That's how you feel when they're not responding.
So when you hand a visual,
right. You can see it's a lot of people.
Here's the smoke coming in. Here's all the people. And then, we've been told, well, we're not telling the truth. We want money. Let's see. There's no way you could have gotten sick. So this is going to show the smoke coming in, the path that it took, you know, and if it's following the group of people that are sick, okay, now explain that to me.
Right.
You know, and the thing is Jeanne, on Moss Landing, the Moss Landing page, she started this. So she had put all the cities in and, marked all the cities that people were complaining. And I said, well, let me help and I'll input, you know, I'll put a notice up, let me know.
Right.
And I'll put them all in. And then from there, we can add the illnesses and we can add, you know, we'll go one step at a time.
Right.
The list of illnesses, I mean, my phone, that's all it is.
Right.
It is.
There's some common ones though, right? You're seeing runny nose.
You can see it coming in, and it, you know, it's hitting the Prunedale area. And I mean, so the map right now, and I'm doing just a 25-mile, actually it's 27-mile radius.
Okay.
Goes from Carmel Valley.
Right.
All the way to Half Moon Bay.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. You got to remember, nautical miles.
Right. Yeah.
They don't drive cars and make left and rights.
No.
They just go straight on through. So nautical miles, Half Moon Bay is 27.
Right. Okay.
Okay. And it's going down to, let's see, Pacific Grove, Carmel Valley, Carmel by the Sea. Now, people have complained, like Turlock, Modesto. Now, I haven't even gotten that far to see if the wind pushed it that way.
Oh, interesting.
But it's very few.
That's considerably much more inland, even though
if it was
blowing east,
nautical miles, and then
it could hit the trajectory of that.
The first 2 days, the wind was blowing at 10 miles an hour.
Right.
The second day was between 6 and 10 miles an hour. Well, that's 30 miles an hour, you know, in 3 days.
Yeah.
So yes, it is possible.
And it was very windy the other day, so I could see that picking it up.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to ask you, so what are the issues you've also been having, because things are sort of dovetailing right now, is a lot of the folks that work the farms here are Hispanic. And they're obviously clearly living in a state of fear currently, not because of Moss Landing, like obviously this is adding to the tension, but because of ICE, because of things that are going on currently with the federal government. That's just adding a layer here. And you had a hard time getting them to speak to you because they're afraid. They don't want, like, what is somebody going to knock on my door if I speak to you? But you were able to break through on that. Tell us a little bit about that.
I posted on Facebook, you know, if you got sick because of the Moss Landing fire, send me your street address and your town. Now, of course, a lot of people immediately started. And then a lady wrote me and she said, I would have to look at it. Basically, well, the wind blows everything. And I go, okay. I said, yeah, the wind is blowing. Now we're translating from my phone. I said, yeah, the wind does blow things. And I said, but when you look at this map, and I sent her a picture of the map of how far I've gotten. And I said, now, if you follow the map of the way the wind was going, you're going to see it's following it right around to all the people.
Right.
And I said, look, I'm not putting your name. I'm not putting your direct address.
Right.
I mean, I was getting, Green Valley and Freedom Boulevard. Well, which one is it?
Yeah.
You know, and so I had to kind of back off and say, okay, look, all I'm trying to do is show our government and our city and our mayors and all them, you know, that everybody's getting sick and it's so coincidental. And I said, I'm not turning you into ISIS. I'm trying to help.
Trying to help, yeah.
So, and then it seemed like it became a domino. You know, and every once in a while.
Well, yeah, that's because once somebody else tries to, they're like, nothing bad happens.
They
like,
started
safe,
the messaging, and I haven't looked on the Watsonville page and the other pages. But it's
so
like.
Watsonville is just a little bit east of us, right? Or south?
Yes. So, Watsonville, oh no, that way.
Okay.
No. Wait, where am I?
I know, right?
Sorry. Moss Landing. So, Prunedale's over there. Then coming down this way is you'll hit Hall Road. That's the main road that you came in on. You take that all the way down into Paro and then Watsonville.
And then Watsonville. Okay,
yes.
yeah. So we had to, so even though this is really close, just so folks get an understanding of why this is a little bit confusing, this is, you know, there's farmland here, but there's also the estuary, and then there's a wall of sort of forest and mountain that happens here. So there's no through streets that go all the way to the bay.
No, and this is a one-way.
So you have to drive way up and then come way back down. So just for people to understand what we're talking about here.
This street is one way in and one way out.
Right. So even though it's only 4 miles that way, you have to drive like
way out of our way. Yeah, we've got to literally go down Hall to Highway 1 to, yeah.
So, the concern at this point that a lot of people have, I think, is just general political corruption that's out there, right? And I don't think this is one party versus the other party. I think that this is wealthy elites being able to buy congressmen no matter which party they're affiliated with, because they only care about, chasing the almighty dollar. I don't think that's a controversial statement. And, Nancy Pelosi owns
I was going to go there.
owns Vista stock, right? So Pelosi's disclosure revealed she purchased 50 call options of Vista with an expiration date set for January 16th, 2026, valued between $500,000 and $1 million. The fire was on January 16th. This may or may not be related, but here's the thing. There's something called a covered call if you're a stock trader, right? So if you own stock, you can sell call options and just keep the premium if the price of the stock closes underneath what the call is. So that's just a loose idea of what's going on here. So you can make money this way. I mean, is that political corruption, or was she just having a lucky day? I mean,
well, and who's she related to?
Right. Her husband is definitely a wealthy guy.
So they're all intertwined up there.
Oh, 100%. And it's both parties. I mean,
it is. It's both parties. And
I mean, Elon Musk is currently hijacking the entire federal government, apparently. I don't mean, it's a billionaire free-for-all out there. I don't know what's happening. And it's folks like you that are paying the price on that. So Vistra now is basically, this is they're saying it's green energy, but they've also been involved in fossil fuels and whatnot. They thought they were throwing everybody a bone by basically saying, if you come and get to this facility, you can get a $750 gift card. They weren't really clear on who that applied to. They weren't clear that it was only valid for 2 days. Like if you didn't go to the first 2 days, you didn't get the card. And that was supposed to be for people to pay for stuff because they were evacuated. But then right after this was happening, all the hotel room rates got jacked up and they were like $350, $400 a night. So that doesn't take you very far.
Isn't that lovely? Yeah.
But also they didn't really communicate to people the details of that. So tell us a little bit about your experience with that.
Well, my only concern is if they go and get that $750 card and there's a lawsuit, does that wipe them out of it? Are they signing something? Because none of us have seen the paper. Are they signing that? Oh, well, we settled with them.
Yeah. Oh, have you heard from anybody that they were requiring that for the gift card? I don't know.
See, we don't know.
Okay.
All it said was, basically come to Castroville. If you got, if you were made to evacuate, we'll give you $750.
And to be clear, the evacuation zone was only 1 mile from the plant, which is not very far out. That makes very little sense to me, quite frankly, given how big the plume of smoke was.
And, it was the schools that canceled.
Right.
It wasn't, our governor or our mayor or someone saying, hey, close them down. Okay.
So what are your thoughts on Supervisor Church? I think he's been the one politician that maybe is saying, yeah, this is a disaster. There should have been different things in play. But what are your thoughts? You know better than me.
I didn't vote for him.
Okay.
Sorry, Church. Okay, so on the 17th, I wrote him.
Uh-huh.
And I said, people are panicking. They're scared. They need honest answers.
Right.
I also wrote Panetta, Laird, Newsom, I'm blocked. Didn't even get into them.
Oh, my goodness.
I have the copy of the email. Yeah, blocked. Church was the only one to write back.
Okay. I mean, at least.
And he had a conversation with me, and he says, he tried. And I give credit for trying.
I do too. I feel like he is actually trying. That's the
and
impression
he
I
is
got,
concerned.
at least.
And okay, this might not be much, but this is our home.
It's your home.
We
it doesn't have to be much.
Here.
Yeah, exactly.
Now at 17, oh no, I hated it here. My friends wouldn't visit me. Now I can't imagine living anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere else.
It's beautiful here.
But Church did step up, and he's trying.
Yeah.
I'm not getting the car salesman pitch out of him anymore.
Yeah, that's how he struck me, at least. I think he is being sincere. I think he is acknowledging that. I think he even had a comment that it was the equivalent of a 3 Mile Island disaster.
Yes.
You know, and he's not wrong. And, you know, the point is if your only safety protocol is let it burn, that's not a safety protocol.
No, it's not. And
also, you know,
they may have them stand up there and go, I stopped traffic.
Yeah.
I watched it burn.
Right.
This is your solution to the first press conference?
It's insane. Yeah.
So people are sitting back going, huh? You know?
Right. So last night, the community forum, this was supposed to be a way for people in the community to get more information. Do you feel that you received adequate information last night? Are you left?
You're evil. I think there could have been better questions asked.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what was written down and handed in, but I think the priority should be health.
Right.
You know, the priority should be our fields.
Yeah.
Because that food's going to go out all over the world.
That's right. That's right. This isn't just about, so there is a bigger story here. This bigger story being that Salinas is, you know, where a lot of fruits and vegetables are grown, not just for California and just not locally here, but for a big, vast space in the United States. And if heavy metals do leach into the soil, do leach into the water, the aquifer, wherever else, this is incredibly problematic.
Well, I mean, are we going to get...
we won't know what that is going to look like for a very long time after this. This could be a developing problem. Let me ask you this. The environmental health person last night was talking about, so the one thing I wasn't clear on, she was saying that the EPA came out and they did their initial testing and they left, but they only tested for air and for the HF, for the fluoride, which is a very toxic chemical, and it will burn through walls or whatever. So I understand why that's the right thing to test for it. But it's not the only thing that they should be testing for. Obviously, in a lithium battery, there are many components.
Fluoride.
Right. So many
metals.
Things. Heavy cobalt, you know, anyway, we can go through the list. And I was thinking about this because down in the Palisades fire, down in Southern California, one of the things that they were very frank about communicating was that a lot of the toxins in that area were coming from Tesla car batteries and Tesla cars that caught on fire. So a lot of these toxins were, you know, being also carried through the wind and through the fire. Right. So anyway, so there's no way this isn't a one chemical problem. It's a multi-chemical problem, multi-heavy metal problem. So, you know, she didn't really say what else they had tested for later. She said they'd done some more testing. I'm not clear what that testing was for. And it's still not clear to me how that was done, whether it was done in the right way. The right way, I mean, that's just, you know what I'm saying? I'm using my scare quotes for a reason, because it's possible that you can test for a multitude of things in one area and it comes up blank 1 hour, but 3 hours later it'll come up positive. You know what I'm saying? It's not a simple thing that you can and you can pick and choose where you test if you're looking to have clear and clean results. I think there's a way to like sort of manipulate that data. So I think if you want to have an honest conversation, it's got to be more than that. Like, I mean, you live here. What are your thoughts on all that?
Okay, so I'll be semi-neutral in the beginning. I think our air and environmental people have their hands tied and are being told what they have to say.
By Vistra?
By everybody.
Okay.
Okay, so they have bosses going,
I see.
Okay, so, and if you notice, they're all in the same, okay, again.
Yeah,
come
no,
on.
This is, yes.
You know.
That's not normal.
You can't tell me.
Right.
Okay.
And how many days? This has been 4 days?
Since the 17th.
17th, okay.
So, yeah, you can't tell me that this is what's going on. So Vistra puts up these numbers. We've had good air on this day and this day and this day. And this big flash of green. Good. So if you look at their actual meters, if we had, now see, it says good, nice and pretty, right?
Yeah.
Why are we in the red?
Oh, I see. So
why are we in the yellow?
Can you, John, I'm going to hand this for you so people can see what she's talking about. There are peaks where you are hitting red and yellow, so it's not consistently in Green. The good zone.
Yeah.
Which graph?
This here. So both of these. This is the red this is parts per.
Oh, it doesn't scroll. Okay.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry. There's screenshots because I went on the.
Oh, it's a screenshot.
Yes.
Oh, I thought that was the live view.
No. I went in during the times of the fires.
Okay.
And started looking.
So talk to us. When did you take this screenshot?
Oh, I did this at 4:00 this morning.
Okay, so this is.
I went in on their site. Okay. So I went on the again, the Utility Commission. I went on and I looked up which site was it?
Was it EPA environmental health?
Yes, there we go. So I went on to their sites and I started looking up all of them. Okay. Not picking and choosing. I looked them all up. And I'm looking at it going, well, how can you say the air is good when it's in the red? So, of course, I screenshotted it. And I kept moving on. Now, I still haven't finished because I had to go to sleep.
My instinct would be to look at that and then wonder what the baseline is for that. Like, is the air always in the red and we just didn't know it? Is this peaking from Moss Landing? Is there something?
They'll tell you it's because of the fireplaces.
The fireplaces?
Yeah. Bister said it was because people were running their fireplaces.
Okay. I'm not sure what to do with that.
I'm going to show the graph, just kind of explain what people are looking at.
Okay.
So on that graph, if the air is good, you're in the green. If the air is, semi-bad, whether it be high pollen or high smoke or whatever, you'll be in the yellow. Well, a massive fire that comes in, you're going to hit red. So we were told high pollen, people were using their fireplaces. We were given excuses of why it was in the red.
Right.
Because it's like, wait a minute, why? So there was, again, we're getting excuses.
Right. And not clear information,
no,
right? So
no.
I feel like if they wanted to have an honest conversation last night, they would say, yes, it's in the red because this is not fireplaces. But there's obviously other pollutants here.
Satellite photo of
the
smoke.
That's
that
crazy.
Little red dot is Moss Landing.
Yeah, that's what day did you take that screenshot?
No, all this was screenshotted last night.
All of this was last night.
I was going through environmental. I was going through air, water.
The intense.
This is the red dot.
No. So this little dot. Let's see. Oh, you got it zoomed in as well.
I zoomed in a little bit, yeah.
Oh, I can't see it now.
Yeah, it's right. I see this right there. Isn't that it?
No, that's the purple.
Oh.
So the red dot's like right in this little cove right here.
Okay.
So, but
I think that's too hard to see, maybe.
Yeah, this one's, let me see.
I see.
Let me look at the other one. So, and I mean, you can see the smoke. That's from the starting of the fire.
Wow.
That's coming at us.
That's crazy.
You can see
Here,
the
John,
smoke bending and coming at us.
That was the night of the fire. So, the other thought I have is we've already mentioned, like, why was this approved to begin with anyway? Mm-hmm. It seems crazy to me, knowing that lithium has extreme reactions with water, that you would place a battery storage facility, not only next to the ocean, the water here, but also an area where it's known to have a lot of marine layer coming in. The moisture here is going to be always present. It's not, why would you put that there versus like in the desert, the high desert in California?
What I read is they're able to pull the water from the ocean or the slough or whatever, cool the batteries.
That's why.
They turn it back around and send it back out. Now, what are they doing when it's coming around?
Right. That's what I want to know.
Is it being filtered? Is it being made clean?
Right.
So again, that's on the California
so many
utility.
Questions.
Mm-hmm. And again, if you ask.
And the CPU knew that was the plan. That's why they wanted to put it here. So
that's what PG&E had done.
I see.
So the chromium-6 that's showing up in the water, Is that where it's coming from? Because our aquifer runs right underneath us.
Right. Okay. So that is the one thing that she mentioned last night that I thought did make sense, was that the aquifer is everybody, right? Eventually it's all connected at some point, which, you know, is true, which is why it's also easier for these contaminants to spread if they are present.
So if you test this house, which I have all the testing, if you test this house, but then you go down the hill to 2 houses, they have far worse numbers. Well, they're downhill from us.
It goes down, yeah.
So, of course, they're going to have higher numbers. You go up the hill and there's nothing.
Right.
Okay, so, you know, again, depending on which way the water's flowing.
Right.
And it
where
comes
it can land and
this way.
Concentrate the chemicals, whatever. Yeah, I understand.
You know, but I do feel the air, you know, the air resource and the environmental, they have their hands tied. And I mean, I did appreciate them saying, we don't know.
Yeah. Sherry, it makes me also wonder, was there already a presence of these chemicals in the aquifer just from that existing for as long as it has there? Like you're talking about how the water's washing to cool the batteries. Is it possible that's been, and it's just never become a point of conversation because there wasn't a disaster of this magnitude?
We didn't know.
Have these chemicals been ever present and you know, causing problems? Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, the baseline that they're working with is already a contaminated baseline, right? Mm-hmm. If you're saying this is like a normal existence of chemicals here, my next question is, well, if that's the case, have they just been present there for years and people just didn't know because this hadn't happened? Because that's still a way of poisoning people, isn't it?
So the past, I would say 5 years, we have had people coming out saying, look, we're going to test your water. Okay. They test our water and they say, you have high nitrates.
Yeah.
You have chromium 6, but it's
okay.
It's right here.
Yeah.
So they try to sell us this big well that's going to feed all these houses. Okay. Now, a couple years ago, it was $5 million.
To build the well?
Wow. The people will be paying for.
Wow. Okay.
So, you know, we'll be paying for the water to come in. And then, of course, you have, you know, all the little hidden stuff. And I'm like, no. Why should we have to pay?
Yeah.
They put a pot farm across the street knowing our water was bad.
Oh, wow.
Newsom.
So let me ask you this. You've got obviously a lot of farmland here. I think there's probably some tension though between like the large commercial farms and then the mom and pop farms or the smaller organic farms or whatever. So it seems likely to me that the commercial farms have no vested interest in discovering the truth here because they want to sell their vegetables. And if people don't think it's safe to buy vegetables from here, that will completely destroy their market. Mm-hmm. Whereas, I mean, what do you think? Do you think there's a tension there? Because the organic farmers obviously have a bigger problem. They have labeling issues and
of course, and anything that gets on their plants, I mean, it's not sellable.
It's not, yeah. So,
you know, whereas like around here is flowers, a lot of flower growers.
There was a flower nursery down the street. I saw that.
So a lot of flower growers, but then you go down the road and you have your strawberries.
Yeah.
You know, and yes, they do have to do testing. I mean, these growers have to do testing, but what's in their testing, I don't know. But they have strict guidelines that they have to follow.
Right.
Whereas here,
not so much. Somebody
compared us to the ugly redheaded stepchild. They know what's going on, but I
love redheads.
I like red cats, red dogs.
But all right, point taken. So, I mean, there is a tension there. And obviously the large commercial farmers, those are owned by conglomerates and corporations as well. So for them, it's not the same live or die, situation. If you have a small farmer and he's just trying to make ends meet and he's taking care of his kids and whatnot, that's a different conversation.
And you're told that you have to till it under because it's toxic.
Right. Is the government going to step in? You know, it sort of takes me back. it takes me back to where, I mean, this might sound wild to you, but it takes me back to, you know, the late 70s, early 80s when we had a very large farm crisis that came about.
Oh, yeah.
You're old enough to remember this as well. And I'll never forget it because Ronald Reagan said, we're not helping these guys out. And he vetoed the farm subsidies. And it just set about this giant collapse of farms in the Midwest and so many problems that were associated with that. And you're like, why did Reagan veto that? These people really needed money. They're Americans. They were in a very dire situation. And it's something we've never really recovered from.
No. And in the 90s, I mean, with the farming, that's why, you know, the nursery was sold before the water went bad. You know, they started buying flowers from Hawaii and stuff.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So now why wouldn't you stay local?
Yeah.
You know.
That's a good question.
So, you know, you get in the red, you got to sell. You know, and it was a domino effect through here.
So that's my worry, right? So having that sort of domino effect, are we looking at an economic domino effect if it turns out that, I mean, we obviously don't know yet if that's going to be the case. I can't imagine there not being toxins here, but I will leave that as a possibility. But if it turns out that you have heavy metals leaching into the soil and these guys can no longer farm their land, or we spoke with a farmer last night who was basically telling me that they use hemp to correct the soil, but he's like, that's a 2-year process. It doesn't happen overnight.
And who's going to pay?
Who's going to help me in the 2 years that I have to do that? I'm like, well, I think the government should help you.
Well, and if they have to dig up the soil,
right,
like they're telling us with our vegetable bins,
right,
dig it up and put new soil in.
Yeah.
What are we going to do with the old? Well,
oh,
where are we going to do with the old
where
soil?
do you put the toxic old soil? Exactly.
We're going to send it out to the dump so it can get rained on and go into the groundwater.
It'll just leach back into the aquifer.
And where is Vistra going to do with all that burnt up stuff?
Isn't that it, Sherry? That's at the end of the day, the question I think most Americans have is, why is it that Americans are always left holding the bag when multinational corporations or large corporations make these giant screw ups? They don't want to pay for their mistakes. They want to make you pay for the mistake that they made, and they want to say it's fine, right? And I think America's sort of done with that.
Well, another thing too is, when's our bills going to increase?
Right.
Our PG&E and our utilities.
PG&E
because somebody's got to pay for it.
PG&E is like ridiculous at this point. So many billions of dollars of damage that they have caused the state over and over again.
And I love this house. But do they want to pay my PG&E every month?
No. Yeah. I mean,
you know,
I mean, my favorite thing was after the Paradise Fire, they actually were like going to charge taxpayers who were buying utilities for their mess up. I'm like, thankfully Newsom said no to that one, because I was like, oh no, come on.
But again, we're in a whole different ball game.
Yeah,
we're
we are.
You know, we're talking stocks, and we're talking higher up people, and
who knows?
You know, okay, you guys need to start being fair to the little guys. For one, you want to go green. I have no problems with green.
Oh yeah, let's be clear on this. Nobody has a problem with green energy. In fact, this is California. It's the opposite. We want green energy, right? But it's one thing to say we want green energy, no holds bar. We want green energy that's safe. That's ridiculous to me. Of course, we need safety checks.
Well, and
this isn't a thing against. But here's the thing: there's now these corporations involved with green energy, right? This isn't about. They're not doing something from the bottom of their heart because they want to save the planet, right? These are corporations that are coming in to make money. Clearly, Tesla exists to make money, right? So, and I think this is just the same problem we see in every industry at this point, where, again, these guys buy off their Congress guy to let them have these regulations not exist, or will self-regulate, or, you know, whatever else, you know, and this is where we end up, right?
Check the donations and see who got what.
Exactly. I agree. Exactly.
It's in black and white. It's right there.
So what would you like to see happen next? Like, what is your ideal situation if we're going to fix this?
I think if we have to put up with this, the single units, no more stacking of batteries. There's no control.
Okay, let's explain that for folks that don't know what that means. So part of the problem with the Moss Landing plant is they had stacked these giant lithium batteries on top of each other. Yes. So it was like a chain reaction. One has the water, the moisture gets in. There's a reaction to that. It catches fire, starts to blow up, and it becomes this like domino.
It's a domino effect.
Yeah, like boom, 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 and it's just run away.
Yes.
So that's a good solution.
So you know, they're wanting to open. I mean, they're already talking about opening up, and we're going, no, 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 no.
They want to reopen already?
Oh yeah, they want to get it cleaned up and open it back up, and they want to get their gas back up online. You know, and we're sitting there going, whoa,
That's
you haven't
crazy.
even cleaned up the big
Right.
mess.
Right.
But the thing is it's in the California Utility Commission, and talking with Ohio and Pennsylvania and New York, the fires that they had were all stackable batteries.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, well, that says there's a problem.
There's a problem there, yeah.
You know, and again, in 2019, they went to single units. Now, is it going to stop this? No, we're still going to have fires.
But it would be less damaging.
Less damaging. And then everybody I talk to in all these states.
The rooster like,
I know, it's wonderful.
The rooster agrees with you.
No, that's a turkey.
Oh, the turkey, sorry.
The
turkey's not having it.
No. So the thing is they have better batteries out there now.
Yeah.
So you want to stay here, update your systems.
All of it, yeah. It should be acquired.
We don't want to hear, which every state has heard,
yeah.
Well, the suppression system failed. Or do you work on it?
Okay, what did they actually even have us? That wasn't clear to me. I know that's what so the fire department or the fire chief mentioned that they had said they had one, but my thing is like, well, was there actually one, or was that just, you know, lip service?
Well, and again, they're taking care of their stuff over there.
Yeah.
Who's going in the county and checking these?
Right. And holding them accountable.
Yeah. We have not heard of anybody. Right. So they can do whatever they want. No, you start getting people in there and you check the batteries and the temperatures, and, you know, they brought up putting cameras so that, you know, the county can keep an eye on it.
That was a good idea. I thought. Yes. Somebody last night in the meeting said, why not? And the fire chief can also see and inspect that way as well, you know.
And again, in the California Utility Commission with Vistra, the first fire that started, there was nobody in there. Well, why not?
Yeah, it's
Who's
crazy.
Working?
Who's watching, minding that? So it just starts and it gets going before anybody even knows. You know, again, part of the problem too is you have a lot of regulatory capture at the CPU. So the CPU is the regulation body here for public utilities. It was set up when we started privatizing some of our utilities in the state. But it's mainly comprised of people that have served in the industry, and it's like a revolving door of, you know, I'll go work for PG&E and then I'll end up on the CPU. Then I leave the CPU and I go back to work for PG&E. So it's might as well be self-regulation if that is as much teeth as you have as a regulatory body. So that, I mean, that needs to be addressed. But this is not the only agency, right, that has been captured this way. I mean, at the SEC, you know, so many things.
So then when Massachusetts, I can never say that word, and I lived there. I lived there as a kid.
You lived in Boston.
Yes, I did. When I heard they were coming, I'm like, why? So I looked up California and the lithium, and we're rich in lithium. So in the desert is where outside of
Salton Sea has lithium deposits down towards San Diego.
They're talking about now I don't know how, again, rumor is they're talking about they're going to go out there and mine it and then, you know, get it going and then store it on the coast because the coast can clear it, you know, clear them.
That sounds like a disaster waiting to happen.
And I'm like, okay, so we're going to have mining over here and then we're going to have power plant. We have beautiful coasts.
Right. You don't need to put that on the coast. It needs to be inland by the desert. They can figure this out.
Well, they would have to dig down and do their own water and how much water's in the desert? I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Or
either.
they find another way to cool it. It doesn't have to be water.
That's my deal is I wish they would just take it out away from the people.
It makes more sense. Plus there's less moisture there. If you have a chemical or a mineral that is reactive towards water, why would you put it where there's just a ton of water? Right?
Well, and if they would just answer our questions, we wouldn't have all these thoughts going through our brains.
Right.
Be honest. Tell us what we need to know. Tell us what we need to do. We need guidance.
Right.
You know, and work with us. Don't just tell us we're idiots and go about your day because we're not. we have some really smart people that are, you know, going, hey, no, there's new stuff that is good.
Right.
You know, so yeah, like I said, they're just...
Something will change, hopefully, from this, at least. I feel that the community is now, in the very least, united and awakened to something that they didn't know about previously. And that is a benefit. To, you know that this thing's over here, a ticking time bomb, for real.
All the way up the coast.
Yeah.
And it's not... That's the good thing about this is... Monterey, Prunedale, you know, Salinas, Aromas, everybody is coming together all the way up to Half Moon Bay, you know, Minto Road. It's like, whoa,
from
stop
all
'em.
walks of life. I mean,
everybody,
these are everybody. This is like different political opinion, different wealth levels, different, you know, everything you've got going here. But this is the one unifying thing is like, this is not acceptable. We all want to live in a safe environment.
Yes.
And we're all affected by this if it's not safe.
And that's the thing is, you know, and the woman that I was talking to from Half Moon Bay today, I said, you know, we just all have to stick together.
Yeah.
We've got to go out and we've got to stick together and say, hey, we're not going to do this. Quit stacking the damn batteries. Find something that's safe, you know, strict rules and guidelines for them.
Right.
You know, they've been running free too long.
They've been running free too long. One last question I have. Do you think there will be some sort of class action lawsuit against Vistra at any point?
Well, I'm not a sue happy person, but I've already received about 6 phone calls.
You know, there's something too, sometimes when you can't get something done, you know, through legislative bodies, civil lawsuits can be a good way to move the needle.
Well, did you see where they contacted from Pretty Woman? The attorney. Well, she wasn't an attorney.
Oh, no, Erin Brockovich?
Yes, they contacted her.
Yeah, okay.
I actually put on her site.
She's very smart. She knows, I mean, she lived through this, so she knows exactly the playbook that these guys have, right?
Yes.
So that's good.
And she is talking with all the people, which is great. I just think that everybody's really sue happy right now. And I think,
do you blame them?
Well, I don't blame them. And the thing is though, we need to find out what damage, what's the long-term damage, what's the short-term damage. How long am I going to walk around with blisters on my hands?
Yeah,
you know?
This is an unacceptable.
And I'm not the only sick person.
No, you're not. I mean, we've talked to
horrible.
several people that have similar injuries that you do. And so, you know, they're saying it's fine. And then you look at your hand and you're like, come on now.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
There's obviously something going on here.
It's very interesting. I mean, I would just love to watch. Oh, the president was at a restaurant down here. And I really just wanted to get in my car and go sit down and have dinner with him and have a chat. And I'm thinking I'm going to get arrested. So, yeah, I stayed still. I hate people that lie. So.
I hate people that lie, too, and there's a lot of them, unfortunately. So what are your parting thoughts for everybody?
Stick together.
Yeah.
We need more knowledge of what is safe. We cannot stop this. They have the permits. We cannot stop it. So, okay, let's find something that everybody can agree on. Battery-wise, that's safe, okay, and we got to fight together, all of us. You know, this list is nothing.
We share this planet, so I mean, we might have our differences, but at the end of the day, an unsafe environment affects everybody equally. And
for the people that cannot speak English, please. Get on there and translate. Yeah. You know?
Well, I will say this. It was a very good thing. So last night at the meeting, they did have a translator in the back of the room who was verbatim translating everything that was being said into Spanish for the Spanish speakers in the back, which I thought was really helpful. That was a good idea.
Yes. But again, they weren't, you know, their questions were going to be emailed. So is it going to be in English or Spanish?
Well, that's part of it too. We didn't,
you know,
we had to leave the room. So there was still a lot of unanswered questions going on. So hopefully that irons itself out. Sherry, thank you so much for talking with us. Your story is really important. I think for each one of you that speaks to us, there's probably, you know, 25, 30 others out there that are experiencing the same thing you are and just don't have an ability. So you're giving them a voice as well.
Yes.
So we appreciate your time. Also, I want to mention, Status Coup folks, if you are not a member, please think about becoming one. Your $5 a month is what allows me to come here and talk to Sherry because, you know, flying up here, getting hotel rooms, all of this stuff costs money. And it is the only way we are able to tell these stories. We don't take money from billionaires and corporate donors and all these sorts of things. We're financed mainly by you guys. So please consider that if you can afford it. And then stay tuned. We've got more interviews that we're going to be up here till Friday talking to folks. So we'll have more stuff coming your way. And thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.